Hello, welcome to Suite 301. I'm Sandy Sanderson, and coming to you live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where we got our annual, what are we calling this, podcast? Annual bi-monthly podcast now, I guess. Used to be the monthly podcast, the webcast.
Yeah, webcast.
Now we're going bi-monthly. I think that means twice a month.
Yes.
Every other week. So exciting stuff. So we're here to bring you all the news and updates going around Cold Club Sports, all our leagues.
So remember to like our Facebook pages and our Twitter pages for all the newest updates around the leagues, and also subscribe to our YouTube channels to view past episodes of Suite 301.
All right. Well, let's get the ball rolling.
Let's do it.
Pitchers and catchers reported today, so it's the start of baseball season.
It is.
So let's start with some baseball, and let's welcome to the set Garrett Seamack.
How you doing, Garrett?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good to have you on.
Outstanding.
Glad to be here.
I guess to get things started, the biggest news in the baseball world, I think, to us right now is the departure of Tracy Reardon, our longtime director of spring training operations. And Garrett, you've stepped up into the interim role and taken over our spring training development, spring training operations, both East and West Coast. And we congratulate you on that new role, and we think you'll do a fine job in it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm looking forward to it. Been around spring training for the past couple of years, and looking forward to taking it over this year.
Absolutely. You got a good crew underneath you as well to work with, so and we're always here to help too. So should be another great, outstanding event in Tampa. And I know Christian's got he's slated to head out to the West.
Skeet.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Mesquite.
I was out West last year with Mesquite. He's going out West this year, so maybe I'll be able to get down to the Tampa side this year and see what we can do.
What's going on spring training wise? Any updates that need to get across to the teams?
Everything's pretty much good right now. The only thing is schedules are coming out this week. We're kind of waiting on a couple last-minute confirmation type ordeals, but everything should be coming out this week, so teams be on the lookout for that. You'll be getting an email from myself, Alec, Tom, or Joe. One of us will let them know on when schedules will be out and what to look for.
All right. Well, yeah, I am looking forward to it, and congratulations on your interim position. But, yeah, I'm excited about getting out to Mesquite, seeing the teams in that swing into spring event that has been going on for a long time that we took over the last couple of years. So should be a lot of fun, and congratulations again, Garrett. Let's move on to Division I baseball. I know we are into the season. We have jumped in, I think was it last weekend?
Yep.
Was the opening of the spring season. So tell us what's going on the baseball side of things, D1.
Yeah. So we'll start with the top 20 poll. We just had it come out last Wednesday. Illinois, defending national champion, still on top. Florida State, Texas A&M, Grand Canyon, ECU now round out our new top 5. The biggest kind of update is that ECU jumped over Iowa. As you can see, last month ECU was at number 6. And then we got 2 newcomers in SUNY Albany and Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa, I've noticed, has been a team that always seems to be in the top 20 year in, year out. Just haven't made the push lately, but it's great to see them in there once again. And then just to round out the rest of them, University of Maryland 7, Windsor 8, Oregon State 9, Georgia 10, Colorado State 11, UCSB at 12, 13 Oregon, Ohio State 14, Drexel 15, Michigan State 16, Tulane 17, and then JMU at 18.
So there they are, Northern Iowa.
And then
coming in at number 20, I was like, where do you see? Well, I don't see Northern Iowa on there, but that's great. I mean, yeah, Northern Iowa has always been a team out there, and they're in a tough conference with Iowa State and Iowa. So it's nice to see them get some top 20 votes and break into that top 20.
Yeah, it's great to see, and this type of year we always see a lot of changing in the top 20 as teams try to start to solidify themselves. But
one of the things I notice is the 2 teams that dropped out of the top 20 this week is Boston College and Penn State dropping out. Penn State winning the national title 2 years ago, representing the North Atlantic. Boston College dethroning Penn State last year, going to the World Series. Now both of them are out of the top 20. So who's going to be the new beast in the North Atlantic then that's going to make some noise?
It'll be interesting to see.
According to this, it's going to be Drexel.
Drexel's always a good team.
Yeah. Although Albany's crept up in there too. So.
Yeah. That was a region that I ran the last few years, and I was really happy for BC making that push to the national championship, and had a really good national championship. I forget who they beat in their opening round game, but it was a big win for that program. And I know that they had lose some guys for this year, but still a long season, and a lot of things can happen. So we'll see what happens. What else is going on? Anything new to report from the Division I side of baseball?
Yeah, so I'll do a little recap of this past week, Week 11. In a rematch of the 2017 World Series, ECU swept UCF in all 3 games. So that was kind of great to see. And
that was ECU going down to Orlando, right?
ECU went down to UCF for 3 games. Yeah, got the sweep, outscored UCF the entire weekend, and kind of just dominated them. And then the second one was UCLA swept Cal State Fullerton to move to 5-1 in conference play already, so they're kind of jumping their way above UCSB to take control of that conference.
And they played Cal Poly the opening weekend, I believe, and went 2-1 against Cal Poly, which Cal Poly's always been a really good team. That SoPac West is a tough conference with UCLA, Cal Poly, and UC Santa Barbara. So, UCLA getting that win right at the beginning of the year against Cal Poly was, setting them up nicely. But that'll be a exciting weekend of baseball them against UCSB, and I'm wondering when that series is going to take place. But
yeah, and then Eric also wanted me to tease out that he already has his National Pitcher of the Week selected for this week. It's going to be Austin Apple from the University of Florida. He threw a 12-inning complete game, no earned runs, no walks. He had lost his no-hitter in the 12th inning, only allowed 1 hit, struck out 22 batters.
Wow.
So he won
in February.
In February. So,
Is he going to be able to lift his arm all of March?
Hey, some kids just have rubber arms.
That's
you never
a heck
know.
of a performance there.
But yeah, wanted to tease that out there for everyone that's tuning in to be on the lookout.
Did he get the win?
Yes, he did get the win. They ended up winning it in the 12th.
All right, 1-0, I take it.
I didn't see what the final score was.
Okay.
And then to preview for this upcoming weekend, UCF and Florida State face off in the South Atlantic. So those are usually the 2 powerhouses of the South Atlantic South, and it'll be interesting to see them play in their essentially opening conference series of the year.
Wow. Some big baseball starting off the season, which is nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think you got to give Florida some love in that South Atlantic South. If they got a kid that can throw 12 innings, that's both games of the doubleheader.
22 strikeouts, too.
You just give that kid Saturday, and then you throw the rest of the staff on Sunday.
Might as well. But, yeah, that's everything for D1 that Eric gave me. Things are looking up, and it's exciting seeing all these teams playing big-name opponents to start the season.
Yep.
What do we got? What do we got coming up this weekend?
The UCF Florida State is this upcoming weekend. So they're playing this weekend.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a big highlight game for this weekend. All right. Spotlight game of the week.
Boom.
Anything new with the World Series to talk about?
The World Series, the logo has just been released. I believe it should be showing up on the screen shortly.
There it is.
Eric's happy about it. He loves the logo. I think it's a great design. And that's everything for the World Series as of right now. I'm sure Eric will be releasing more information in the coming weeks, so make sure you stay tuned to the website and check out the postseason page.
All right. Well, I guess after D1, we might as well slide over to D2. That's your bread and butter, right?
Yeah, of course. So first thing is the top 20 poll. That'll be coming out on Thursday. You guys will get the updated ranking for that after the preseason poll. So I'm really excited to see how that goes, and I'm starting to get some ballots pouring in. So we'll see if West Virginia can stay on top at number 1, or if there's going to be a new number 1 out there.
Wow. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're real excited for it and hoping for the best. I do not remember if we covered on the last Sweet 301 of the top 20, but if you need to see it, it's on the website still. If you want to see the comparison from last week, West Virginia took 1, Air Force was number 2, Wisconsin was 3, Temple was 4. It's actually flashing up right now. One team that I would be on the lookout for, just from doing my research, SUNY Cortland, who's at number 7 right now. They're 11-0. They took down a couple D1 teams in the fall, and I kind of been seeing their stock raising a lot. And as well as Villanova, they're 12-2. They're sitting down at 16. I would expect to see them kind of shoot up a little bit in this week's ballot.
All right, cool.
So we'll see what happens.
And Cortland was a team that was in D1 for many years.
Yeah.
Had a terrible season one year where they basically, I think they folded the whole season and got demoted. And now it's good to see them back on the rise, playing ball, winning at baseball. Maybe they'll be able to make a return to Division I again here soon.
And that's what's great about having these, divisions. If you have a bad year, redevelop down at the lower level and, make it a goal to get back up to Division I. So,
yeah.
Nice to see Millersville there in the top 20.
Yeah, defending D3 national champion.
Yeah. Year 2 in the books, and they're already ranked in D2. Good for them.
Yeah, they started out 6-1 in the fall, and I believe they start playing next weekend. They're already playing early games, and they just want to get on the field.
Do they think they've got a shot at winning the D2 World Series? Have you talked to them
Yeah,
much?
from all the talk that I talked to them, they're like, oh, we'll see you in Pittsburgh, Kansas next year, and they're all hyped up, and they text me all the time, like, hey, Garrett, when's Top 20 Poll coming out? Hey, when are you going to post this? We want to see where we are. So they've got a lot of enthusiasm, and, they returned majority of their team from last year, so love seeing the new teams not only excel, but have a great time while doing it.
Good stuff.
So.
All right.
But, yeah, that's everything top 20-wise. To give a little recap of this past weekend, two of the big things, defending Dixie champion Georgia Southern started conference play 2-1. So it was good to see that a World Series team starts off the year right. And then Lone Star Sci-Fair swept Stephen F. Austin, a D1 team. So it's always great seeing the D2 teams hold their own against D1.
Especially in that region where we've got some room to move some of those D2 teams up.
And especially after talking to a lot of teams that showed interest, and we talked to them about realignment, everybody wanted to move up, and now they're trying to prove it on the field this year that they should be at D1.
All right, good stuff.
Yeah, and then this week is a big week for D2. A lot of conference games are restarting up this upcoming weekend, so we're excited to see that. Two that I'm really looking forward to, it's Oklahoma State is playing Missouri S&T, and then Lander is playing Western Carolina. This is two teams that won their region at the D2 level are now facing the former D3 World Series teams. So it'll be interesting to see how these teams now moving up to D2 face off against essentially the top dog in their region.
All right, cool.
All right, good stuff.
Yep.
Good barometer there to see what these teams really got in the tank.
Yeah, they get to face the top dogs right away.
All right.
But yeah, that's everything D2-wise for you guys.
That's everything for D2. Should we move on to some Division 3?
Yeah, sounds good.
Lots of good stuff going on in baseball. We got all kinds of good things going on at D1 and D2, and we're going to round this thing out with the D3, bringing in Tom McManus. What up, Big Tommy?
What's up? How's it going?
We're doing well. How are you?
We're hanging in there. It's cold, snowy.
Yes.
I wish I was in Florida
He
now.
is. I always forget he is the weatherman.
He's the weatherman?
Yeah.
That was my degree. Atmospheric science, baby.
Yeah? I didn't know that.
I'm a nerd.
I don't find it cold at all out there.
Yeah, it was
Storm
actually
chaser,
pretty nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. He was actually in the movie Twister.
He was?
Yep.
Yeah.
Loosely based off my
I'm a big
life.
fan.
He was in the cow suit. That was.
That was me. It wasn't a suit. It was just my stomach.
Okay. Anyway, let's talk. D3 weekend review. What do we have this past weekend?
This past weekend, the only game was a series between Appalachian State and Charleston. Appalachian State took all three. It's pretty high-scoring games. Appalachian State. Charleston had a guy go 4 for 8 with a home run and a double, 5 RBIs against a good D1 team in Appalachian State. So he also threw 3 innings, not giving up an earned run. So
good.
It's kind of nice to see out of a D3 team that I think they were 3-9 last year, I believe, going up there and competing with a good D1 program.
Well, nice. Good stuff. And so that was the only game that happened this past weekend.
Yeah.
What do we got coming up? We got some more games being played this upcoming weekend?
Yeah, we got a lot of District 3 action. We have VCU and Craven. VCU, I believe, was a D2 team for a while. They dropped out or folded. Yep. And Craven just dropped down from D2, so I feel like they're going to be a pretty more or less heated series. And then another big one would be West Georgia at Auburn. Auburn's a brand new team, big school. They have a lot of expectations. West Georgia's their returning champion. I believe they were 12-0 in their conference last year. So big series to start out the year.
Yeah, Auburn gets to see, Auburn probably is one of those schools that, we're brand new, but we feel we should be in Division I.
Yeah.
You got to earn your way up there. So this is going to be a big measuring stick for them. They're going to have, some of the best D3 talent in the region up against them.
Yeah,
see how they do. That would be a good game to be able to check in on.
Yeah, no, they're excited for it. Should be interesting.
All right.
What other stuff, any housekeeping items you got on the D3 side, rosters, getting those things,
really just
all those?
making sure everyone gets all their academic eligibility letters in and making sure the dues are in by the 28th. I mean, I think we have like 36 of the 42 or something like that, and I've talked to all the teams, so they're well aware.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah, and making sure getting those rosters in. I know you don't have that roster in, your games are subject to forfeits. So make sure you're taking care of that paperwork so that the games on the field can go down as recorded. So.
Yeah.
D3 World Series announcement. What do we got for us? That's a big ticket item.
Yeah, we're returning to Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Good old Sargent Stadium. Same stadium as last year. There's the logo.
Oh, I like
it. Very beautiful. Shout out to Sean.
I like the incline, but they don't call it the incline. What do they call it? They call it something different than the incline, which we call in Pittsburgh. But I like how they incorporated that.
Yeah.
That's if you've never been to Johnstown, you can take that up to the something.
Auto incline.
But I like it. That's a clean-looking logo. It looks good. I like the color scheme as well. So
yeah, it's
vehicular
a great logo.
plane.
There you go.
The vehicular plane.
Can you get cars on that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get like 4.
Yeah. So
maybe 2.
Check it out. Make the D3 World Series and check it out. It's Johnstown's a cool little town. A lot of history, obviously, but it's good to hear that we're going back there. I know the teams had a great time there last year, and Sargent Stadium is awesome. Turf Stadium. It's cool. It's got the almost like the big monster, the green monster.
Yeah.
Out in left field. So teams are going to really enjoy that. So that's exciting news.
Oh yeah, yeah. You want a referral? Go talk to Millersville. They had a ball out there last year. So I enjoyed being able to stop in for a day of games out there last year and seeing everything in place and good times.
Yeah, it should be a good time out there.
All right. Well, that wraps up our baseball segment for this month, this half of the month.
Yes.
Got to get used to it. We got to work on some new clean transition lines there. But, Tom, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Giving us the D3 recap. And, all right, we're going to move on to some NCSA softball, and we're going to bring Savannah Aarons onto the show. The show. Savannah, there she is.
What was that look?
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. How's the weather out there in Colorado?
It's also snowy, yes.
It's not snowy here. I don't know what Tom's talking about.
Yeah, well, it was snowing. It was snowing earlier today.
I don't know. We've missed our winter here in Pittsburgh this year.
It's really cold here.
And it'll be 80 tomorrow, right?
Yep, pretty much.
Okay. Well, good stuff. Thanks for being on the show. Softball, like baseball, we're in full swing. So let's talk about some conference series recaps that you got on the softball side of things.
Yeah, definitely. We've actually been played for the past 3 weeks. So we've had a lot of softball since the spring started. California and Florida, they've got great weather. So over those past 3 weeks, we've had some really exciting games going on. Grand Canyon actually swept USC, who was the Pacific South Conference winner last year. So that was huge for them. They may be making a comeback to the postseason this year. Very interested to see. They've got San Diego State this coming weekend, and I think that's going to be a big test for them. San Diego State's been doing very well as well. And then in the Florida area, it's Florida State again. Florida's sitting at 6-0 this spring. Florida State at 5-1. They dropped 1 to Florida Gulf Coast, and they play each other in 2 weeks. So that's going to be for all the marbles.
Boom! That early on, I like it. So what else is going on? We got. You want to talk about some housekeeping items? Biggest thing is the roster removal process, correct?
Right. So the roster removal process is a little different for softball. Basically, you can remove up to 8 players for any reason at all. The dates are February 21st through 28th. Those are the dates that you can remove players from your roster. You can go ahead and send in that documentation if you have it ready. The documentation that's required is basically just a letter stating these players we would like to remove these up to 8 players from our roster, and it needs to be signed by 2 team officers and the club sports director.
Okay.
All right.
Now, is that a new rule? I don't recall that in softball.
It's fairly new. Maybe, we've always had a roster removal rule, the same rule that baseball had, but then the girls wanted to change it.
Gotcha.
2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
Hey.
All right. Hey.
I like it.
I like it. You're on top of
Yep.
it.
If you just don't like their face, you can take them off your roster for any reason.
Interesting.
Good to know.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
How about the new set of polls? When are we going to be seeing some new polls? Last I checked, there was some December.
This week.
This week? Thursday?
Yeah, the February poll come out on Thursday.
Nice. So we'll be able to follow that.
And like I said, we've had 3 weeks of some really competitive spring softball already, so it's going to be a toss-up for who's getting some love in those Florida schools, the California schools, and we've got some huge matchups this coming weekend with Coastal Carolina playing at NC State. That could literally determine the conference right there. Tennessee is playing at App State. Santa Cruz is playing at Sacramento State. UCLA is playing at NAU. We've got some huge series this coming weekend. So not only will the poll come out, but then the next time that we have a show in 2 weeks, it may have changed again.
Right. All right, cool. Last thing I want to ask you about is new team development. Like, I know you're in your early registration period for new teams coming on board. You want to talk a little bit about that process, and have we secured any new teams yet for the 2021 season?
Yes, Bellarmine has sent in their paperwork. They're just working on their new team registration fee, which as of right now, starting last week through April 1st, team can get a discount to join the league, $150 discount actually. It's a great deal if you've got a team that you've been wanting to come on. Go ahead and get signed on early this spring, and maybe we can even work on getting you some non-conference games with some teams that are already in the league that have some openings this spring. Like, it's a great opportunity to go ahead and secure your spot for next season.
Outstanding. All right, Sabs. Well, thanks very much for the update. We appreciate you taking the time to join us on the show, and we will be back. We'll talk to you again in 2 weeks, I'm sure.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
All
Sab.
right. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll return with some NCFA football updates, followed by basketball.
Headwear sponsor for Cold Club Sports. They offer our team's quality headwear such as hats, visors, boonies, and beanies for a great low price. All items are customizable to meet our team's needs. Contact Felicia.Battaglia at coldclubsports.com for all of your headwear needs.
Rawlings is the official uniform, apparel, and equipment sponsor of the NCBA and NCSA. All member teams receive up to 45% off on all Rawlings orders. All uniforms and apparel options are fully customizable. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Justin Rickert at justin.rickert@coldclubsports.com or call at 412-321-8440, extension 111.
All right, welcome back to the show. Hey, we're gonna have a little brief NCFA club football segment here. I'll give you a little update on what's going on there. Schedule request forms are out to the member teams. Those are due back on February 19th. Please don't be late with that. For those of you not aware, we have temporarily suspended operations of the NCFA. We had too many teams. Honestly, we had too many teams miss the renewal deadline. Brought us below our membership numbers, below our cutoff for operational success. So we've we put our league meeting on hold. We pushed everything back a month and said, hey, we're not releasing schedules. We're not moving forward until you guys get your paperwork in and sign on. Now, speaking with Joe, our operational threshold is 24 teams. We are at 21 right now. Joe swears, maybe possibly by this time next week we'll have to be up to 24, and we'll just turn the ignition back on and get back to having our meeting, scheduling, realignment, moving forward with the process. So,
and hopefully this is a something that gets teams knowing that, hey, we're not just messing around on these deadlines. We need to have this so that we have the comfortability to make sure financially we can put this on. So hopefully moving forward we can get this season rolling and it won't happen again.
Joe's very optimistic, and coincidentally, all three of the LPAs that he's expecting in next week are all coming out of one region too.
Okay.
So,
well, good.
Okay, so let's move on to some basketball action.
Nice.
Who's this guy?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Alec
Your
Berhoff.
intro music.
Yeah, thank you for the intro music. I appreciate
You're welcome.
that. Yeah.
You're very welcome.
Sounds
And
good.
let's. I'd like to start off with congratulations to Alec Verhoff. Since you've last seen him on the show, he has received a promotion to Director of Women's Basketball Operations. He was currently in the position of Director of Basketball Development. He still holds that title in those responsibilities, but now he is also handling all aspects of the day-to-day operations of the Women's League. Congratulations on that, Alec. We know
Thank
you'll
you.
do
Thank you.
fantastic.
excited to take on the new role. So
Absolutely. So, that said, let's talk about women's basketball since
Yeah.
you're now the expert.
all right, yeah. Well, I've been the expert. Just want to throw that out there. I'm not
That's
just
true.
now an expert.
That's true.
But yeah, let's start off with some recap from last week. Go over a few big matchups that we had. First one, kind of like to point out, Ohio State played Central Michigan. Big matchup in the Great Lakes. Ohio State, our number one team. Central Michigan, I believe they had one loss before this.
Yep. Yeah, they just split a series with Grand Valley like 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
So it kind of looked like Central Michigan, Ohio State were going to be the competitors for the conference lead.
Yeah. Well, Ohio State kind of put that to rest. Ohio State handled them pretty easily, beat them twice. So yeah, Ohio State, they're the number one team unanimously. So they're pretty good. They're proving why they're unanimously the number one team.
Yeah, they definitely took a strong front runner stance on that Great Lakes region there. Right. They're probably going to, barring some sort of crazy disaster, they're probably going to finish first place, get to host the regional playoff. But it's a 4-team race for second there still. And
right.
Central Michigan's not out of the hunt there either.
Yeah, no, I mean,
they take care of their business, and Ohio State takes care of their business. Central Michigan should end up in the 2 spot with
right.
a chance at revenge.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Moving on, another big matchup. We had Cal State Chico, CSU Chico. They played their first NCBBA games, so happy to have them playing. They did unfortunately drop 2 to Stanford, but it's still nice seeing these California teams get their games in finally.
Right.
Been talking with them for a long time, but they were spring-only teams, so they're just now getting their game started. So we're excited for them, excited for the California teams. Another pretty big matchup, Villanova took 2 from TC&J over the weekend. Villanova still undefeated. They're kind of in the same situation as Ohio State, where they're kind of running away with things. Nothing is clinched yet, but they're looking like the team that could come out of one of the Mid-Atlantic conferences. So excited for that matchup. Moving on, some big matchups that are coming up this weekend. We have Brockport at Binghamton. And the reason I think that's a big matchup is because they're both 500 teams, so they're kind of at the point where they need to get over that hump, and they're at the point where they're chasing the number 1, number 2 spot, and these are important games. You got to basically win out to kind of have a chance to make this regional tournament. So
right,
they're competing for that at this point. Like we talked about earlier, Central Michigan, they're still in it. A lot of the Great Lakes teams are still in it. So Cleveland State plays at Central Michigan this weekend.
and that's currently the number 2 team in the Great Lakes.
Exactly. So more important games. You gotta keep winning. With Ohio State taking care of their business, now these teams all need to take care of their own business and just keep winning. Next game.
Yeah, if you want to be a playoff team, you need to win both games.
Right.
If you're trying to get into that number 2 position in the conference, got to win them both. You can't split.
Yep. Exactly.
Splitting is treading water.
Exactly. Now,
if you're not moving forward,
that should be a T-shirt.
Before I move on to the next matchup, I want to point out that Clemson is actually our first team to clinch a playoff spot. They clinched the South Atlantic title. They're 6-0 right now, so congratulations to Clemson. Very happy for them. First ever women's team to clinch a division. So
hey,
that's awesome.
Let's celebrate the Clemson Tigers. Congratulations, ladies. 6-0. They still got 2 more games on the conference games on the schedule,
right.
but they already hold the tiebreaker over everybody
right.
they play. So even if they drop those 2 games, they still will be number 1 in the conference, meaning they get to host the regional.
Right.
Nice.
With that being said, Furman is playing at Mercer this weekend, who are both competing for that second place spot now. So they're basically competing to play at Clemson for the regional championship. So, again, must-win games here. Another last big matchup I want to point out for this coming weekend is San Jose State at Chico. Reason that's a big game is because both San Jose State and Chico played Stanford, and they both lost. So now they're at a position where they're going to be, they're kind of put themselves in a hole. They're competing for,
for a chance to play in that regional as well. And Stanford got off to a hot start, so they kind of need to.
So Stanford's at 4-0 already.
Stanford's at 4-0 already. So both of these teams are at 0-2. They kind of need to get in that win column to keep up. Yeah, those are the big matchups for this coming weekend. Excited to see how those play out. We'll probably discuss that on the next show.
All right. Well, let's before we move over to the men's side, let's talk about the early registration period here for women's basketball.
Yeah.
And we do have a new team on board already.
We do. Northeastern, new team.
Northeastern coming on board,
Yep.
the New England region.
Yep, very excited to have them on board.
They jumped. When did we begin the early registration period? About February 1st, right?
It was a little before that.
Okay.
It was in January.
Okay.
Late January.
And I knew as soon as the emails went out, Northeastern hopped on board and was like, "Hey, we're coming.
Yeah.
Here, paperwork's coming tomorrow.
Hey,
we're in."
We're just as excited as they are. So.
Yeah, yeah. So they were the first one to come on, and we know that means there'll be more dominoes to fall along the way. So
Right.
if you're paying attention out there, if you've got a team that you think would be a great fit to your region, make sure that they're talking to Alec here and taking advantage of that early registration period that runs through the end of February. Save your team some money to come on board early.
Yep.
For next season.
Exactly. Nail on the head.
One of the other things that's important about being early with your registration in the league is, we were talking about this in a meeting earlier today, is these teams do their budgeting for the next school year in this spring. So if they don't create their budget with the idea they're going to play conference basketball, if they show up in September, they're not financially prepared for it. They're not prepared to travel. They're not prepared to host. They're not prepared for league dues. Now's the time to prepare those budgets so that you're ready for it and can make it happen.
Right. You know, we also we talked to some teams that wanted to join on once the schedules got released, and you know they had to get voted in at that point, in which they did not. So if you join on now, you're eliminating that, and you're in. You're automatically in. So join on now. You know, it's cheaper. You'll get in for good. Why not?
All right. Anything?
No brainer. Exactly.
All right. Anything to talk about on the pool side?
We have a new one coming out Thursday.
Thursday.
Believe we touched on this last time. So we'll have a new one dropping Thursday.
All right. Excellent. Look forward to it. I'm sure Ohio State's going to still be there at the top, but we'll see who else moves around underneath them.
Yep.
All right. Well, Christian, on to men's basketball, and that's now your bread and butter.
I mean, listening to Alec talk, I mean, a lot of what I don't know why I haven't noticed, but in our pools, Ohio State is the #1 team. And I also, talking about big matchups, previous big matchups that we had, Central Michigan and Ohio State was a big matchup that I have highlighted. At the time, both were 3-0. Ohio State, same thing, swept Central Michigan, but they were close games. I know one was 106 to 101. But yeah, Ohio State swept them, but yeah, close games, and Ohio State is, you know, we saw them up at the fall tournament. They didn't end up winning. They lost in the championship game, but they're certainly a team to be reckoned with and well deserving of that #1 ranking in the polls. But it's kind of crazy how that's mirroring on both sides, men's and women's.
The same schools are good at the same sports.
Exactly.
Now let me ask you this. You know, talking about Ohio State, a very strong team. They had some turnover over the winter break, right?
They did. Well, most notably,
Marquise Gaines.
Yes, he graduated, but that team, and he was a huge component of that team, and he will shortly be missed. But they're a deep team. Antonio, their president and point guard, really, really good player and very organized, and has that team poised to, I think, make a deep run in the postseason. But the Great Lakes region is, I was looking at the top 20 pool, you know, half of the top 10 is Great Lakes teams. I mean, it's a deep region, a lot of good teams, so it's going to be tough, and whoever comes out of that Great Lakes region to move on to the national championship, you know, is what I would at least guess would be my assumption, that they might be a #1 ranked team going into that tournament. So. But yeah, other big games that happened in previous weeks. I had just a few to touch on. BC Northeastern, that's obviously a big, Boston area matchup, big rivalry. BC took 2 out of 3. They actually lost the first game, but BC is another team that's up in the top 20 pool. Purdue and Indiana. Indiana is another team. I believe they are at number 7. They did take a drop from number 4, and that was due to them losing to 2 out of 3 to IUPUI, which was a big loss, series loss for that program, Indiana, and they came right back and played another very good team in Purdue and was able to sweep Purdue. So I thought that I liked really how they bounced back and took that big series lost against IUP, but bounced back in another big series and swept Purdue. So good on Indiana. As far as upcoming games, want to touch on this upcoming weekend, which is week 16 in the NCBBA. We got Maryland at Virginia Tech. Maryland sitting up at the top of the conference at 11-1. Virginia Tech, people would be like, well, why is it a big game? They're 7-5. 3 of their losses were forfeit losses because they didn't get a roster in on time before their games. So really, and they won those games. They played the games. They won the games. So they're kind of at 10-2. They're a very good team.
Right.
And this is going to dictate.
Off the court, they've got some operational deficiencies.
They got it figured it out.
Right.
And Jason, that's running the team.
And Virginia Tech is a former national champion.
Yep. So
with something to prove, because they probably have to win out.
Yeah.
To get into the postseason.
Absolutely. So it's exciting to see what will happen there. 2 really good teams going at it this weekend. I also have SIUE White, which is, if you want to call it their A team, the team that's ranked number 3 in our pools right now. They're going up against Missouri, and they're number 1 and 2 in the conference. SIU White's 6-0, Missouri's 8-1. That's going to end up being one of those conferences really going to dictate who finishes in first. But that conference we'll talk about in some more upcoming games is really tight. So very early on, and a lot of things can happen. Another one I want to highlight is Yale at Sacred Heart. Another 2 teams that are currently 1 and 2 in the conference. I believe Yale is 9-0. Yes, Sacred Heart 7-2. That's going to determine a lot in that conference. And then you got Rowan Black and Penn. Rowan Black 6-0, Penn 7-2. Again, number 1 and 2 in the conference currently. That's going to be proved to be a important series for those teams. And then in week 17, I want to touch on a few more games just because there's something we can go back and look on how they really turned out in the next episode of Sweet 301. You got Bradley and St. Louis, which I was talking about, SIUE White in Missouri. They're in that same conference. Bradley 7-2, St. Louis 6-0. So that it's really top heavy in that conference, and these next 2 weeks are going to really prove to be important on who's finishing 1, 2, 3, 4 in that conference. Couple more. You got Cortland at RPI. Cortland's at 9-0. RPI's at 5-1. They're also currently 1 and 2 in the conference. Furman and Auburn. Auburn is a brand new team to the NCBBA this year. Brand new club basketball program in general. They're at 7-0, going up against Furman. That's 6-0. Or excuse me, Auburn 7-2. Furman 6-0. Again, another exciting matchup to see what happens down in the South Atlantic. And then the Harvard Classics, who national championship team. Was that last year? I think it was 2 years ago. They're at 7-2, really good program. Tim Pugh's their president and leader.
Pittsburgh.
Yep, out of Pittsburgh. Facing off against Boston College, who's 7-2. And again, these are Week 17 matchups, which is not this weekend, but next weekend. So things might happen.
Next time we talk on the show, we'll be recapping those games.
Yes,
those are your picks to watch.
And then the last one, Towson 6-0, Delaware 3-0. Just the top 2 teams in that conference as well.
Delaware looked really good at the fall tip-off.
They did. They're a good team, and Towson looked really good too.
Yeah, that's true.
Lots of exciting games, and I was also looking at the standings and the top 2 conference teams when they're facing off, and it's basically from here on out. It's bread and butter time when it's coming down to getting wins, like you said, on the softball women's side. Big games are ahead, and teams need to really buckle it down because it's going to determine quite a bit of your season. So I'm excited. In 2 weeks we'll be talking about these games and reviewing the tape, which ones I picked, and see what happens. So I'm excited to see what happens in those games. But in the top 20, This one came out last Thursday. We'll have another one coming out, not this Thursday, but next Thursday. I forget what the date is on that. But yeah, Ohio State number 1. You see it there on your screen. UMass Lowell number 2. Those two teams have been the number 1 and 2 teams for the last 4 polls, I believe. So really, really excited to see maybe those two teams ending up in the national championship. UMass out of the New England region, and then Ohio State out of the Great Lakes region. But those two have been the
two teams have been to a lot of national championship tournaments.
Number 1 and 2 teams for several weeks now, and very close in the total points. And it's actually, they're only split by 9 points. It was even closer before that. So exciting to see what those two teams do down the stretch. But rounding out just the top 5, you have SIU, Edwardsville, White, U.S. Naval Academy, and Boston College.
And Navy's a brand new team to the organization.
And they're a great program, really great to work with, and excited to see how they do going down the stretch.
Back-to-back national champs in softball too.
Yep. So a proud club sports department over there. But check out the top 15. It's online, and like I said, we'll have another one coming out on not this Thursday, but next Thursday.
All right, good stuff. Last thing we want to touch on the men's basketball side. Do we have any updates on regional locations?
Yes, and I will preface this with the comment. I would encourage all teams to go to the regional page and the national championship page and the website just in general. Lots of important information, documents that I don't think a lot of teams utilize. But, you can go to the regional page on our website. Everything will be updated on there when things happen. We do have some finalizations in the Mid-Atlantic. We will be going back to Georgetown University, Yates Fieldhouse, and that is March 28th. Those 3 games, that's only a 4-team tournament. Those 3 games will be played on Saturday, March 28th. We are also going to Georgia Southern University for the South Atlantic Regional Tournament. Georgia Southern is not a member men's basketball team, but they are very centrally located in that conference where we didn't have a really good centralized location. So thank you to Georgia Southern University. But it's the auxiliary gym at their student center. It's a really nice gym that will be playing the South Atlantic Regional Tournament. That's also on March 28th. That's only a 4-team regional tournament as well. And then we're finalizing right now. I don't even want to say it yet, but we're very close to finalizing something in the Great Lakes. So stay tuned. That regional page will be updated once things are finalized. And then the other 3, North Atlantic, New England, and the Southern Pacific, working on those locations as we speak. So more details will be put up on that regional page when they become final. But if you have any questions, you can certainly reach out to me at any time.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this show. I keep wanting to say this month's episode, but this week's episode of Sweet 3 Run. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Facebook.
And yes, making sure you guys know this, the next episode is 2 weeks from now, February 25th. You see that on your screen at 3:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Facebook Live. Join us to catch up on everything that's happening around Call Club Sports.
All right. Well, as always, remember, it's a game.
Have fun.